We begin our live coverage of the state funeral of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died at the London clinic in the UK on Sunday, 13th of July, after a brief illness.
Nigeria is a nation in mourning led by the President and Commander-in-Chief Bola Tinubu, who will be receiving the body of his predecessor as it arrives, accompanied by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, his widow, and some members of his family.
Now we have live pictures. We have pictures from the family compound and at the airport. Let's quickly bring you a report talking about the life and times of the man, Muhammadu Buhari. Live pictures from Daura in Katsina State, where former President Muhammadu Buhari will be buried. We can see around the graveside there people gathered, preparing that place for his final resting place. And we can see people gathered mourning the man, Muhammadu Buhari. It's a somber gathering there. People are waiting his body to bid him farewell.
A solemn moment for Nigerians. Nigeria is a nation in mourning, led by the President, to bid farewell to a great leader, a foremost statesman, a leader who many persons say had the opportunity to lead Nigeria as a military man and also in Agbada. But it's a very solemn moment for Nigerians at this time. It's a time to reflect on, some of his legacies, what he will, be leaving for people who have decided, to learn from his life and also his times. These pictures that we see is a reflection of, the life of every individual, not just the president. And of course, we're expecting a lot of dignitaries today who will be paying their last respect. I understand that governors, aides, and other, major and important guests who will be trooping in and have been trooping into Daura since yesterday, to pay their last respect to the foremost statesman.
Indeed, it's quite a difficult time, as a nation, really. And everyone is just trying to grapple with this reality, which, has befallen us now. Our State House correspondent who was in the State House all the while Muhammadu Buhari was president, Femi Akonde, would be joining us live now. Okay, he's actually there now joining us to tell us more about, what is going on and, how the nation really is reacting to this final time bidding farewell to Muhammadu Buhari. Femi, talk to us.
Well, indeed, it's a state funeral that will be given to President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, as former president of Nigeria, one that has served the country in different capacities. 7 days of mourning declared by President Bola Tinubu. Flags are already flying at half-mast. We're also seeing condolence messages coming in from around the world, not just within Nigeria now, but from around the world. Visitors are already trooping into Daura, sympathizers trooping into Daura to commiserate with the families of former President Muhammadu Buhari, and also the government and people of Katsina State and indeed Nigeria as a whole. We've also seen the aircraft carrying a delegation from the Republic of Niger touchdown in Daura, Katsina State. It also goes to show the influence former President Muhammadu Buhari has within Africa, West Africa, and across the world. Not minding, that
right,
Niger
Femi,
had severe ties with
Femi. Yes, Femi, if you can hear me, we'll be back with you in a moment. We really need to speak now to the man who worked very closely with the former President Muhammadu Buhari. He was a senior special assistant on media and publicity, and he actually broke the news on X there, talking about his death. Garba Shehu, good to have you join us at this time. Talk to us about the man Muhammadu Buhari, especially as the nation and the world bids him farewell today.
You can see that Buhari's death has dampened the spirits of virtually everyone here. He's an inspirational figure, not only at home here in Daura, but in the nation and the entire continent. He led by example. He was a rare kind of leader, and certainly incorruptible, and the closest friend that the masses of our people would possibly ever have. He's lost and he's gone, so everyone is not happy. Well, there's sadness everywhere.
Let's also take a listen to the governor of Katsina State, Daura, on the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes, my colleagues are already in the air, about 20 of them, who are coming to commensurate with us and also joining us in this funeral prayer for the repose of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. It's really very overwhelming, and we are not taking unaware because we know the caliber of person he is, and we know that President Muhammadu Buhari was a man of the people, both the masses, and he has extended the cordial relationship with the former presidents across Africa and across the world. So we should expect more than this.
All right, Governor of Katsina State, Daura, there, speaking about the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Our State House correspondent Femi Akonde is back. Femi, is day 3 of the 7 days of national mourning declared across the country in reaction now to the life and times of Muhammadu Buhari. Tell us more about what you're hearing from your end.
Well, we have seen top government officials leaving Abuja through the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, all of them going to Daura in Katsina State, home state of former President Muhammadu Buhari. We've seen the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Deputy Senate President. We've also seen their wives accompanying the First Lady to Daura to commensurate with also a former First Lady, Aisha Buhari, who will also be coming in from London with the remains of the former President Muhammadu Buhari to Daura for the funeral, the state funeral of the former president. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also expected to be in Daura at the airport there in Daura to receive the remains of his predecessor, former President Muhammadu Buhari. You know, it's going to be...
all right, Femi, you may please go on. The pictures we have on the screen, there are pictures of when the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, was actually leaving Abuja, heading to Daura for the state funeral for former President Muhammadu Buhari. You may please go on, Femi.
Yes, sir, there will be a brief ceremony there at the airport. There will be a guard of honor that will be mounted at the airport to welcome or receive the remains of former President Muhammadu Buhari. He was a military man, a soldier. He was also once a military president of Nigeria, and also as a democratically elected president, commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it will be a full national burial. He will be given a full military compliments as a former president of Nigeria and commander-in-chief. We expect the 21-gun salute and other military rites will be performed before, his body is then taken to Daura, where he will be buried according to Islamic rites. Bosse.
Right. Femi, you covered the president for a while. And give us a feel as to who the man, Muhammadu Buhari, is.
And maybe just before Femi comes in, these are pictures from Katsina State. There in Daura, people are gathering, waiting to receive the body and pay their final respects. Just like the Garbashi who mentioned, this is a man of the people, his people in Daura, where he retired to after his service. To the nation, very much there waiting to receive him. And the family will get back to you to respond to that question from Olamide. But just before that, let's bring in our correspondent who is in Katsina State and has been on the ground monitoring situations there. Abdulatif Yusuf, talk to us about the feel, the atmosphere in Daura as we continue and hold this state funeral for former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes, at present we are at Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport in Katsina, not in Daura. Already we have been on ground since morning, witnessing every bit of the arrangements and arrival of guests from all across the country. We've witnessed a lot of dignitaries coming in from far and near, especially from Niger Republic. The Prime Minister has just arrived and is here with the governor. He was received by Governor Diko Rada. Similarly, we've witnessed a couple of arrivals of the members of the House of National Assembly, and governors are also available here. And the committee that is responsible for the arrangement of this befitting burial for the late president. And similarly, we have seen a lot of governors' wives also arriving into town to witness this momentous occasion. It is a very big occasion as we have kept witnessing the arrival of guests from all across the country. And people are really waiting to see the arrival of the corpse so that properly, after the brief ceremony that is going to be done here, the corpse will be proceeded to Daura, where the funeral prayer was going to be held, and finally the burial rites for the president. So we are here on ground and keeping eyes on the unfolding events.
Abdulatif, let's put you on hold for a moment and quickly go to Daura, Katsina State, at the residence of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. Reporter is there live for us, Lupe Som. Thank you for joining us at this time. Talk to us about what the feel is like currently at the residence of the president, the former president rather, Muhammadu Buhari, right now.
Afternoon, Olamide. I must tell you that this place is filled up now. Dignitaries have arrived. We have seen former governors, we have seen former ministers, we have seen executives who worked under the former president arrive here. We saw Rotimi Amechi, who came in. We saw Boss Mustafa, who was the SGF. He also came in. We saw former governors, Yaya Bello. So we're having more dignitaries coming. We've seen former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, and we have seen a couple of them. But we've also been speaking to them. A lot of them have been describing him in catchy phrases, talking of how his legacy of integrity and how his legacy will go ahead to shape leadership going forward. They spoke of how lowly he lived his life, how humbly he lived his life. They had very, very many good things to say about him. And we also witnessed his family members, his immediate family members, come into his house where he will be buried. We saw his daughter, Fatima Buhari, who came in. She actually came in with a couple of her friends, and she was in a mourning mood, clad in black. A couple of the women are clad in black. They're sitting there reciting the Quran, praying for the repose of his soul. And everyone here has something good to say about him.
All right, Lupe. Okay, Lupe, you were talking about some happenings in Daura that we understand that the First Lady is also arriving now, ahead of the arrival of the body and of the President to witness that momentous occasion. Talk to us more about, some of the catchy phrases, as you mentioned, that, Muhammadu Buhari has been described with.
Well, Garba Shehu said the former president was someone who, according to him, he was the last president who would be that close to the masses. He said the former president is the last president who would ever get close to whoever get that close to the masses. Whether that is true or that's not true, that's left to him, and that's for time to prove. But we also met Boss Mustafa, and we asked him, what do you have to say about this statement by Garba Shehu? And he said, indeed, he actually confirmed that indeed that statement is true, and that will only be proven by the number of people who would attend his burial. He told us that we should just watch out and see that thousands of people would come to pay their last respects and watch the former president buried. And he said that is indicative of the fact that he was actually very, very close to the people. And if you come here in Daura, his relatives are trooping in. In fact, the security people are the ones who have prevented this place from being overcrowded. they have been turning a couple of people back and allowing only the MVPs. So it is only the VIP. So it is very, very clear that he was close to the people, especially here in Daura. A lot of them have been talking about the projects he executed here in Daura. There is an Air Force Reference Hospital. There's the University of Transportation. There are so many things he did here, the roads he constructed, and they are looking at all of these things and saying, indeed, this was somebody who actually felt very, very close to his hometown and indeed all of Nigeria. So they're saying he will be missed. Garba Shehu would describe him as someone who didn't care about material things. He said the president he didn't care about the material things. And of course, we have seen it for ourselves. If you come to his house, it's a basic house that anyone can build. I spoke to his nephew. He said the president borrowed 200,000 from a bank to build this house while he was a GOC. So according to him, that was indicative of the fact that the former president was very humble, despite the positions which he held. They didn't have an influence to the life he lived. He chose to be humble. And if you look at his house, it's actually a very humble house. If you pan around, you will see a couple of people. Several dignitaries have come from far and near. And we're also expecting members of the international community who will be coming in. The governor of Katsina State, Dikorada, who spoke yesterday, he said that he's expecting at least 3 presidents. And he said at least 20 governors, 27 governors have indicated